Now, get your phones out. Go to www.rapidtables.com/convert/number/binary to decimal.html.
I didn't remember.
Don't worry, it'll all make sense.
Binary decimal. Alright. I mean, I can do that without.
I just want to demonstrate a point, I guess, with this.
Yeah, I can do it in my head too.
I don't know if you'll be able to do this in your head. There's
Probably not.
going to be a 9-digit binary number.
I'm just going to Google binary.
If it's 0000000.
Yeah, but you're not going to get that necessarily. it's easy if you just go there. It's easy.
I haven't got my
That'll
phone.
do it for you.
I'll do it, Wendy.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
I
which
can't
way?
remember
Oh,
that.
it's gone away.
Each person will be
There it
doing their own one, so you can only do your own phone.
Okay.
is.
That's right.
I haven't got it. I didn't bring it.
Rapid table.
I left it behind. Accidentally,
Give me the number.
What are we doing?
No. You'll each develop your own number from the next set of questions.
We'll develop a number.
Yep.
Oh man.
rapidtables.com/convert. You might want to write down your number then, Mary.
Yeah. Oh, maybe.
Slash.
Oh, that's real estate.
It's definitely not realestate.com.
Just Google
sorry.
binary to decibel
Yeah.
is the first one.
Binary
Binary.
to decimal. That's probably how I found it. Hey, Luke.
Yeah.
How do we do the?
Okay, now I'm going to give you some questions, and you can type in the binary number as you go. So just type in the numbers 0 or 1. Okay, has everyone gotten to that address?
Yeah.
All right. Question number 1, your view on hell. 0. Hell is a physical place. You don't have to share this with anyone, by the way. Put a 0 down if you think hell is a physical place of eternal conscious torment for all people who have not been saved by Jesus. That's the traditional view. 1. Hell is described symbolic. Put down 1 if you think this. Hell is described symbolically in the Bible, where death and darkness represent the end of conscious existence without resurrection to life after death for all who have not been saved by Jesus. That's another view of hell, which is also
No.
an evangelical view, and that's called annihilationism. Probably it's the minority view, and it's not the more traditional one.
And what's our third choice?
But for example, John Stott, famous evangelical, has that view.
Mine's number 2.
So 0 or 1. You've got to choose one or the other for these for it to work. Now, next digit that you're going to put in. So don't just put your next digit in. Your view on the Green Party. You quite like it, you might vote for it, or you're neutral, because I feel environmental protection is really important. If that's your sort of fits your view, or are you more close to 1? Put a 1 down if you dislike it intensely because of its stance on freedom of expression by Christians who hold traditional biblical views on moral issues. So you can put a 0 or a 1 down.
So is the one saying it's pro-Christian?
No, it's anti-Christian. Because it's anti-Christian.
Oh, it's anti.
So choose a 0 or 1. 0.
Its stance on freedom.
So choose what's closest to your view. Now you may not have a strong opinion, but choose one or the other. Because a lot of people have a strong opinion on these things. Okay, what about Roman Catholicism? Put a 0 down if you find its teaching on Mary, the saints, purgatory and works very, very sad and very frustrating. Put a 1 down if you think generally positive things about it because of family or personal experience, or simply you're neutral about it. So 0 or 1. Next one. Put a 0 or a 1 down for your view on holy war in the Bible. If you have difficulty reconciling how a God of love could command such destruction, and so you find these passages troubling, put a 0. If you think God's sovereign and the wars and destruction described don't pose any tension to you, because those who were destroyed required judgment for their sins of child sacrifice and idolatry, put a 1 down. Okay, next one. Genesis 1. If you have a young earth creationist view, 6 days, 24-hour creationism, put a 0 down. If you're an old earth creationist, or you think of theistic evolution is the truth, or is something in between, put a 1 down. Your view on free will and predestination. You put a 0 down if you think God's sovereignty is key. He's commanded everything that happens, including who will acknowledge him, who won't, as well as disasters and wars. So you've got a traditionally Calvinist view. Put a 0 down. If you think human free will is key and God has not ordained who will or won't accept him, nor has he ordained all the pain and suffering that occurs, but rather allows humans to take our own paths, so a traditionally more Arminian view, put a 1 down.
Neither are correct.
You've got to choose one or the other. You've got to choose one or the other, because some people hold these views really strongly. Okay, your view on Israel, put a 0 or a 1 down. 0, the establishment of the nation of modern day Israel is the fulfillment of biblical property. Or one, if you think when Revelation speaks about Israel, it's using the term symbolically, for example, to talk about the church as a whole.
That's
0 or 1 when thinking about speaking in tongues. If you think tongues as they're practiced in most charismatic churches today are really an important expression of the Holy Spirit in believers, put a 0 down. If you think the way that they're described in the New Testament relates simply to speaking in known human languages for the purpose of proclaiming the gospel, and that the common expression of tongues in most charismatic churches today probably represent an emotional state of being rather than direction from the Holy Spirit, put a 1 down. And your view on Donald Trump, last one.
Yo.
If you think he's a pretty good president because he's not started any wars and he's brought about economic prosperity, put a 0.
So what?
If you think he's an awful president who makes remarks with racist and sexist undertones and you can't believe anyone will vote for him, put a 1.
You meant to have 10 digits.
An
or not?
ableist.
9 digits, I think.
Maybe you requested.
Okay, now convert your number.
6, 7, 8,
Okay,
9.
do we put all those numbers in?
Yeah.
How do you
And then just
convert?
And then just convert it and tell me what and then we'll write down what your decimal numbers are. I'll write
Come on.
319.
So we've got a 319 here.
I'm 317.
It won't convert.
What's
My
the,
finger's not
I'm
working.
a 1-7.
We've got,
is
what was
that
that
the
one?
next number or the binary number?
We've got 170. What else we got?
Oh,
161.
We've got 161.
Hang on, why isn't it converting?
Tim?
Oh,
31 by mum.
we've got a 31.
we got a lot of numbers.
X number is A1.
Oh, because you got it for the cookies.
Oh, right.
I got
I got a number here.
We've got 171 over here for Robin.
171, wacko.
What's yours?
mine accepted without the cookies.
Good.
Mine was 319.
319.
317.
317. What'd you get, Malcolm?
174.
174. Have you noticed that not one of your numbers is the same, which means no one agrees on all of those issues?
Was binary
Well,
decimal.
a lot of those issues, I didn't agree with either of them.
That's right.
Fair enough.
That's right.
I disagreed with one less than the other.
All right, that's fair
I know
enough.
you're wrong, Mary.
So, so the point is, there are a lot of issues, and you just take 9 issues. There are 512 different options of,
Thank you, Tim.
that you could fit in. Any issue like that, there's going to be someone in the church that has a strong opinion on one side, and someone that has a strong opinion on the other side. So if I make a comment about the Green Party, it's going to offend someone if I'm really definite about it and firm about it. If I make a comment at Donald Trump, same thing.
Made a comment about Revelations. Well, the fact that there's so many interpretations of Revelations.
Exactly. So if I say you've
Think-
got to think this way, otherwise you're stupid, it's going to offend someone.
Yeah.
And what good is that doing? None of these issues are crucial core issues of faith. So it's really important to think. There are issues here that things I could mention. If I'm going to mention them, I've got to be careful how I talk about it, because what's the point in offending someone, switching them off so they don't listen? It doesn't achieve anything. So, we've got widespread disagreement. And that says that when talking about these issues, remember no one thinks exactly the same as you. There will be issues that I feel strongly about, that someone listening feels equally as strongly about in the opposite direction. So do I need to speak about this issue? Is it going to be beneficial to speak about this particular issue? If it's not, then I shouldn't speak about it. What is the point of speaking about Donald Trump or the wall between America and Mexico? It's not necessary. It's not going to achieve anything in any sermon. So why speak about it? Why make a comment about it? Okay, I actually think it is necessary for me to talk about predestination, because this passage I'm speaking on is specifically about predestination and Calvinism. Okay, then I need to speak about it with humility. I need to acknowledge grey zone and recognise that there might be different points of view. So the way I speak about it has to be influenced by that. So that's the take-home message about controversial issues. Because remember, we're trying to encourage each other, not cause offence to each other. We're trying to preach the gospel, not switch people off so they don't hear it. And I think we will stop at that point. There were some more workshops which we don't need to do. And I've got some more sermon scene examples. And
I think that's probably a good one to do.
tip, just be aware of the audience. Who are we speaking to? At a church, we're speaking to a bit of everyone, but probably mostly Christians. But but it's worth thinking about who we're speaking to.
Actually, one thing that it's worth noting is that for all of us, when we're not just up the front but also as congregation members, we should always be ready for people who aren't Christians. And as when we prepare our sermons, we should always, a really good tip that I heard from Sam Chen, a sitting preacher, is that you should always imagine that the front row are all non-Christians that people have invited, and that helps you make sure that you're not assuming too much of what people know, and that you're not making these controversial statements that are just going to offend people and stuff like that.
And the language we use too, because a lot of them don't understand.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you use all Christian language, and they.
Exactly.
We had that when we invited non-Christian friends to Tom's baptism.
Yeah.
That, you know, they spoke the Lamb of God and all this stuff, and it's like he had no idea what we were talking about.
You just
And
needs.
it's like, what an opportunity missed.
We've got to be sensitive, I think.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. It needs to build up Christians who are there and on fire. It needs to help those that are wavering. It needs to speak to non-Christians. It needs to do all three. To
Sounds easy.
Yeah, I know. So there's some more workshops which we won't do, and I'm going to summarise the tips. Determine a key theme. That takes time to research and reflect. Figure out the flow. Consider using scenes to do it, because actually it does give a framework that makes it easier, I think. Make whatever your flow you've chosen engaging. And a good way to make engaging is to consider doing it in an inductive style. Construct each scene in full. Consider writing out your sermon in full, in other words. And don't offend unnecessarily, being humble, gracious and gospel focused. And remember, variety is the spice of life. Use some multimedia, some stories, some emotions, some drama. Use a bit of everything. And then there's two more. Practice. Practice the sermon. If you've written it out in full, practice reading it 2 or 3 times. And pray, of course, about it.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So that is...
Mum wants a photo.
I forgot. I should know that. All the class do that too. It's like, just take a photo of it. It's like, I'm writing it down.
We're good. We
Taking lecture notes? No.
Yeah.
Hey Malcolm, can
You
you...
should have done it the whole way through.
So there's
they're
actually
gonna be
a whole
up
lot of
online.
other workshops there with passages, some outlines I've given, and a chance to write out some sermon scenes. So that'll be on YouTube soon.
Yeah.
No, those won't be on YouTube. We'll put a link to the
all the
PowerPoint,
materials will be
Yeah.
linked.
Great.
and then you can practice writing out some scenes and see how yours go, what mine look like, and think about the concept.
So the first 3 are
That's fine.
already on
Yeah.
the website, and there's linked materials for the first 3, and the 4th one's ready to go up.
We'll put it maybe in next week's email, the links to it all.
If you can't find it, don't feel bad later.
Yes, or the church website if you sign in. But we'll send you the links in an email. That's the easiest way.
Yeah.
Really good.
For you,
Thank you.
So thanks, guys. So all of you, Malcolm and I haven't explicitly talked about this, but we've sort of implicitly talked about it. If you feel called to give a sermon, you're welcome to develop your own style and to work through it with us. And we've got a bunch of, remember, in the next year we've got a plan. There's a bunch of surprise spots. If you read through one of those and think, I want to speak on that passage,
Yeah, right.
come and find Neil Malcolm. And anyone is welcome
You'll
to
look
here.
forward, won't you, Steve?
It ain't gonna happen.
I expect great things.
We've chosen all
Yes,
the
Tim.
tricky ones for the surprise.